Thank you, Tanya. That's good. Our first Springer Spaniel inductee is John Hall. John began field trialing in 1990, received qualifying scores, and just by chance the National Amateur was in his home state of Illinois that year. He ran Kelly and completed it. I believe that's the term we call being hooked. In 1991, he again ran Kelly in the National Amateur and took first place. That's really getting into it. His next dog up was Tara, who became an FC and placed for us in the 2002 National Open Championship. And then came his dog of a lifetime, AFC Heather. In 2008, she won the National Open Championship and was awarded the Best Amateur Handled Dog. In 2009, she again ran in the National Open Championship, received a Certificate of Merit, a Gunner's Award, and was again named the Best Amateur Handled Dog. He didn't complete in 2010 with Heather, but in 2011 he ran in the National Amateur, placing fourth, and again ran in the National Open, receiving third place, Gunner's Award, and Best Amateur Handled Dog for the third time. By virtue of that third national or Best Amateur Handled Dog, he retired the Dan Smith Challenge Trophy, and now there's a new trophy in place, fittingly called the English Wildflower Heather Challenge Trophy. Not surprisingly, Heather was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2020. Next, John ran a daughter of Heather, Belle. She placed second in the National Amateur in 2013 and fourth in the National Amateur in 2014 before an untimely death due to cancer. Obviously a difficult time. Doubling down on the theme of difficult times, John's good friend and legendary Springer Spaniel man, Hall of Fame inductee Dan Langens, passed away in February 2015. 2 days before Dan's death, he asked John to do him a favor. That favor was to keep Dan's wife, Marie, active in the sport by training and trialing her dogs. John agreed. And then Dan asked if he'd also do the same for Tom and Paula Welsh's dog that he had been handling and training. Because of John's dedication to Dan, he fulfilled both of those pledges in the process, titled both of Marie's dogs and also the Welsh's dog. In addition to training and trialing dogs, John has mentored others in the game, gun field trials, judged numerous draws, including a National Amateur and a National Open Championship. He's chaired National Open Championship and served as president of the Illinois Club for many years and served on the Hall of Fame committee for a couple of terms. With no further ado, let's welcome English Springer Spaniel Hall of Fame inductee, John Hall.
So, I noticed everybody was writing something to have something to say, and I realize I can't read through tears. So I know I'm going to get choked up here, and I'm just going to speak off the cuff. The story I'd like to share with you is how I got started in the sport. And some of it's in the catalog, but a friend of mine, Jim Fisher, and I, we used to go out and beat the brush without a dog, pheasant hunting. And we made a pact that whoever had a house first, we were going to get a hunting dog. Didn't know what kind, but we were going to get a hunting dog. He got married, bought a house, and off we were to the library learning about hunting dogs. Didn't know anything about them. Finally settled on a Springer Spaniel. So I don't know how we came about getting this dog, because Jim fell on that, and we started training the dog together up to the point that it was about 6 months old. And Jim's wife had their first child, and that ended all our training because that took all of Jim's time. A year and a half later, she's getting ready to have her second child and tells Jim we can't have a dog like this and 2 young kids running around the house. So Jim called me up and said, "John, would you be interested in getting Kelly?" And I says, well, what are you talking about? He says, well, let's meet at the Forest Preserve around Chicago, the Chicago firefighter at the time. We'll talk about it. And I said, okay. We get there, get the dog out, take a training dummy, toss it out there. She runs out, snags it up. It took us about a half hour to find her. She's out running around. We have no idea where she's at. Finally, we get a hold of her, and he says, well, you interested? And I says, well, what do you think? And he goes, I've got a crate here, half a bag of dog food. That was $200 down. I said, well, okay, so for $200, I bought a used dog. And started training her myself, and after getting her to the point of needing to be at the level of needing bird shot over her, I called Jim back up and I said, where did we get this dog from? And he says, it was a man by the name of Dan. Couldn't remember his last name at the time, and he says, I'll see if I can find his number. A couple of weeks went by, he calls me back up and says, hey, I got that number for you. Gives me the number. I called Dan when I got off work this morning. It was a Monday morning, I'll never forget it. Talked with him for a while and asked him if he'd finish my dog for me, and he says, what are you gonna use it for? And I says, hunting, you know. And he goes, well, I don't train hunting dogs. Well, that just knocked my socks off, because I knew we bought a hunting dog from him, you know. So, anyway, he goes on and starts telling me about field trials. And he's directing me to another club that has Jim Lightfoot and Doug Miller and some other guys, and he's like, yeah, it's close to Chicago, maybe go down there. But we continued to talk, and eventually he invited me out to come out and shoot over his dogs, and he would give me some pointers on training that dog. So I'm not gonna train it for you, but I'll help you. I said, oh, okay, so the next morning I was out there, and he gets a dog, he's got a trailer out there, and he gets a dog out, and there's birds out there. Steve Sebastian, another Hall of Famer, is there, and we're the only two gunners that are out there for Dan, and we get some birds put out in the field, and he starts courting this dog in the field, and the dog goes out and flushes the bird, and I shot my first bird over a professionally trained dog, and Dan's standing there, and he's not moving, not saying anything. I'm thinking to myself, isn't he gonna send that dog for a retrieve? Well, the bird would not have made it out of this room. I'm a hunter, and I didn't understand about falls and retrieves and distance and everything else. And so Dan calmly walks up to the dog, puts the lead on the dog, and walks off. And Steve Sebastian walks over and he says, we try to let him get out a little further than that, John. So I knew I had a lot to learn, and but again, you know, training a hunting dog, and I enjoyed myself out there. So firefighters' schedule allows for a lot of dog training. You work for 24 hours and you're off for 48. So I became a pretty regular attendee out at the Dan Smurf Kennel training facilities, and continued to train the dog for another year and a half. And I remember, this is the turning point. This is where I decided, well, I didn't decide, but I was thinking about it. I'm running my dog, and there's a couple of competitors behind me walking along. Dean, you'll remember these people. Rich Sanda and Freddie Schmallers. And Freddie Schmallers says to Rich, he goes, behind me, but I can still hear him talking. This will make a nice hunting dog, but it'll never make a field trial dog. Well, there goes up on the back of my neck. I said, well, okay. I've learned a few things over the course of my years, and one of them, you don't talk about a man's gun, he might shoot you. You don't talk about a man's wife, she might shoot you. And you don't talk about a man's dog, because you might get bit. Not by the dog, by the wife. But anyway, at that moment, I decided, well, I'll find out a little bit more about field trials. And so everybody went home, and I talked with Dan that day, and found out about what field trials were. And that fall, I started to compete, and as Dean alluded to, was fortunate enough to finish the first trial, and the following year, I was fortunate enough again to win the National Amateur out of the state of Washington. That's how I got my start. I'm not going to make this long-winded. He's already talked about some of the dogs that I've run. I've been blessed. The Lord blessed me with a lot of good dogs, and He blessed me with a loving wife that stood by me. And, without her, her support, there's no way I could continue with this sport and enjoyed it as much as I have. The thing that really stands out, aside from the success with the dogs, is the friendships that have developed over the years that literally span the country, East Coast to West Coast, and it's something that I will always cherish. So I thank God for those blessings, and I thank the committee for considering me and the people that nominated me to enjoy this day. So thank you. Come on, Sue.
This year's dog induction is two-time Canadian National Field Champion, Amateur Field Champion, Dawson Lee Faithful, call name Sam. When this nomination came up before the committee, it wasn't terribly difficult, just based upon national placements alone, as you can see in the listings. He won the Canadian National Open Championship in 2014 and 2016. Sam was second in the U.S. National Open Champion in 2015, and in the Canadian National Amateur Championship also received 2 seconds and a third. In addition to his competitive accomplishments, Sam is also an accomplished sire, having bred dogs in 3 different countries. In Great Britain, his offspring have earned placements in both the British National Championship and the Irish National Championship. His Canadian bred offspring have received National Amateur Field Champion, FC and AFC titles, as well as Canadian Amateur and Open titles. His USA progeny, there are 6 dogs that have amassed a total of 4 FC and 5 AFC titles. Sam's owner and handler is Dr. Jeffrey Miller, who's also an inductee of the Hall of Fame. Come forward, Jeff, and receive your honors.
Well, I'm sure you all must be worried about hearing all these dog stories. So I'll make it short. I just think there's a few things I need to say about Sam because he was such a great dog. Thank you, Dean, and thank you to everyone that took the time to be here today. The Hall of Fame Springer trials were canceled because of the ice storm, so it's particularly nice to see everybody here. This is my 4th dog to be inducted into the Field Trial Hall of Fame. And each one was entirely different, but they all had one attribute in common. They were all workaholics and absolutely loved to work anytime, anywhere, any place. Sam was no different. He was eager for anything and gave 100%, 110% every time, no matter what. If you added birds to the equation, the words maniac and insanity come to mind. He was always mentally on edge, but in full control. I imported Sam from the UK in 2013 when he was only 1 year and 7 months old. He'd already been bred 4 times in the UK, unlike here. At least in the Springer world, most of us don't feel our dogs are traditionally fit for breeding until they got a title on them. In the UK, they're a little different. If they see real talent, they breed to them, and they breed a lot. It's said in England, if you've got a great breeding dog, it can buy you a house. when I met up with this guy in England, Ian Openshaw, he's a pretty famous guy in the Springer world. He knew the kind of dog that I wanted. I like dogs with hard drive that most people didn't want to handle because they were too much dog. It was exactly the kind I liked. And when he found Sam, he tried to get Sam for several months, but the guy that owned him, Simon Dixon, wasn't about to let him go until he hurt his knee. When Simon hurt his knee, he relented, so Ian went up and got him that night. When I got him, I was struck by his size. A big dog in England is considered to be a fairly small dog here, or maybe medium at best. But Sam was a good-sized dog. He had tremendous talent. He was very keen in basically everything he did. He was keen to learn, keen to listen, keen to hunt, and extremely intelligent. He handled at a distance like a dream. He had everything a guy could want. And he gave it all to me, and I will be forever grateful. Thank you.